Welcome to the Online SuperCoach podcast. Today we have a UK fitness influencer who went viral with his low-calorie dessert recipe. He is the co-founder of the Online Nutritional Education. He has helped over 57,000 women kickstart their personal transformation. He's been featured in a variety of media such as TED, Forbes, Thrive Global, Medium, and Yahoo Finance, just to name a few. And lastly, he is the head coach over at Online SuperCoach. Hayden, Rolfe, welcome.
Welcome. Thank you. It's very, very odd hearing that term influencer.
I know.
I can't say that I've heard that too many times, but yeah, it's a pretty crazy story.
That's why I wanted to start with that one first. But before we begin, I just wanted to ask you if there is we like to start off the podcast with, is there a phrase or a mantra or some kind of statement that you kind of motivates you every day or something that speaks to you that you like to share?
Yeah. So I think for me, like a real core principle that has, especially over the last few years, has really served me well is that first 60 minutes of your day is make or break. I truly believe, I really, really truly believe if you wake up every single morning, and I think it's kind of built into our lives these days with like the technology that we have, right? That you roll over or you get woken up by your alarm, you're just flooded with notifications. It's easy for you to go on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, all of these things and get distractions.
Right.
And based on what you're scrolling and seeing could literally define your day. If you see something that really annoys you, then it can set the tone for your day, and that next hour could be awful, and that could set you up for a really, really awful day. So for me, like that first 60 minutes is everything, and it's kind of broken down into like 3 chunks. So the first 20 minutes of the day is moving, is whether that be going for a walk, whether it be just like a short little workout. It's basically moving, getting yourself active. And then that second bit is the learning. So it's the learning phase, and that could be anything. That could be learning on a certain subject that is within your industry. It could be learning from someone else. It could be listening to a podcast, whatever. And then the third and final bit is the planning aspect, just making sure that everything for that last 20 minutes is all in place, ready to start the day. Now, I'm a bit of an advocate of the last task that you do of the day is planning the next day, but it's just making sure like everything's in a line. And I feel like when you and this is without social media, right? This is
you do all that in the first hour when you wake up?
Yeah, literally the first hour. And that always sets the tone for my day, because I'm never going to, it's very, very rarely that I'm going to go out on a walk and I'm going to be angry about something for moving or doing an exercise. Like it doesn't really happen. And then if I'm like doing some self-development, I can't really get angry at myself for doing that. Right, I'm literally bettering myself every single day. And then me just planning is setting myself up for the rest of the day to make sure I absolutely crush it. So that first hour is never, ever negative. It's always positive. And I then go into the conversations that I have with people in a much better mindset, rather than, I always think about people that get like road rage, and think about when you're driving to work, you get road rage, you're annoyed at something.
Already upset, because you already got the day going, right? Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, you get into the office and you're pissed, but it doesn't need to be like that.
That's so interesting. So the first thing you do is a little movement and get some exercise or do something there. Then you start to learn a little bit, try to, I guess, read or do some personal development, you said. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly that.
What was the third one?
So the third is just the planning. Is just planning that last.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. I just wake up, have 3 cups of espresso, a dozen eggs. And then, I sit at my desk and start to get to work. But that's probably my problem, because I'm starting to get all these emails and messages or whatever happened from the day before. And I'm already, not every day, but sometimes you're probably like, you're right, a little off tilter. So maybe you push that back another hour and just try to focus on, like you said, planning for the day and everything,
Yeah, I think there's definitely, this is a whole separate podcast we could go into this exact subject, but there's definitely things that you can do prior to the day happening to alleviate a lot of the stress that you may potentially have.
I totally agree. That makes a lot of sense, because then you're calm, and so when the problem comes up, it comes in front of you, you're a lot more level-headed to deal with it, versus it's the first thing you see when you wake up, then it's, you're already pissed. So That makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, often most of the problems that we see. So this is something that I used to really struggle with myself was I always knew when I was going to wake up in the morning, I'd go into my email inbox. There was always going to be like 30, 40, 50 emails, whatever it is. But I always just think that has to be answered as quick as possible. The longer it's not getting answered, like the bigger the issue comes. When in reality, like all of those problems are never life-threatening. Like none of those emails are life-threatening and they can wait. And as long as I can set myself first, because if I can't set myself and my mindset first, I can't be useful to anyone else. So that's why it's so important to me.
That's a good point. You got to put the mask on your. You got to put the mask on you. If the plane's going down, you can put the mask on yourself first before anything else, right?
Absolutely, yeah, 100%.
So, I hear you. I hear you. That makes a lot of sense. So let's get into your background. Like, how did you get your start in just work in general? I know your fitness career has kind of like moved a little bit. So let's just start from the beginning, like where you came from.
I was going to say
how much you don't know.
I was going to say, how much do you want to know?
We can do like a quick little run through. Your resume.
So I was, as like a child, speaking now, like I was always massively, I was always overweight as a kid. So I was really overweight as a child. Had no kind of interest into the weird thing, right? Was that I was very, very active. I played football an awful lot, but I just had poor nutritional habits that I didn't realize back at the time, which I do now, that kind of always kept me overweight. And it wasn't until I became, maybe it was like 15, 16, when I started to get more interested in like going out, women, trying to make myself look better. And I felt like everyone that I was around, this is what got me fascinated into fitness to start off with, because I joined a gym. I was going to the gym. I was playing football with all of my friends, but I was still the overweight kid, and I just could not work it out for the life of me. I couldn't understand, like, how am I doing physically more than these people are doing, but I'm still overweight? Right. And I did for a long time was in that kind of victim mentality of, the world's against me. It's obviously like bad genetics. Thanks, mum, and all of this stuff. But, what I know now is I was just massively overeating. But that got me on a path to want to really find out more about how I can actually get myself in shape, because I got to a point where I was like, I can't be the only person in the world that's like this. Like, surely there's got to be other people. So I ended up having a personal trainer quite a young age, about 16. So I got a personal trainer, and they gave me some good advice. They gave me some very, very poor advice. But what they did was they kind of gave me on like a restrictive diet, which I know now was essentially just a meal template. And of course, I was going to lose weight following that. And my body started to change really, really quickly. And everyone started noticing. And it was when I went into college. So I don't know what college is called in the US. Is that high school?
We have college is like after 12th grade, like when you're 18, 19 years old. So university was like college in us. For high school is like, between your 14 and 17, 18-year-old range.
Gotcha. So for us, you go into sixth form college, which is as soon as you finish your GCSE, so 16, then you go into, between 16, 17 and 18 is your college. So I had to, as one of the courses that I took, I had to do a what's it called? It was almost like a works day out. So I had to understand the ropes. It's an apprenticeship, essentially. I had to do one of those, and I had to do it for a week at a location. And I ended up going to a gym, fell in love with it, long story cut short, and wanted to start going down more of the personal training route, because at this time, like, I'd lost weight, I'd become surrounded by fitness, obsessed with it.
Yeah.
And I wanted to know more. So I ended up going down that route and working for a gym. I then started my a personal training qualification. And this is between this is 2009, and then all the way to pretty much 2010, where I became like fully qualified and I was working in a gym. Now, this is where it got a bit of a funny story. And this is no word of a lie, like no word of a lie. So me and the chap that I was working with at the time that I got on really, really well with, working behind reception, we were cashing up at the end of the day for the gym membership. And we were literally like, all of these notes, like coming out of the till, we were like, we're near on £1,000 for this day, and we've sat behind the desk. We've just watched people come in. We're having conversations with them, like we are their retention.
Right.
We literally sat there that evening and wrote a business plan on a piece of paper. So we wrote a business plan on a piece of paper about the gym that we could start, which was basically replicating what they were doing here, but we would make it better.
That's so cool.
Yeah. And at first, the funny thing is as well, we accidentally left that piece of paper on the desk, and then the owner came in the next day and was like, "What's this?" And we were like, "Oh, we were just like giving you some tips on what you could do better."
Oh my God.
But
Well, there's nothing wrong with like two kids being ambitious and wanting to one day open up their own gym. I think there's no harm in that. You know, I think it's natural actually. You know?
yeah. And then what happened about a month later is basically who then turned out to be was one of my business partners. His parents ended up selling a dental practice, and they got a lot of money for the dental practice. And they basically had a conversation. It was like, look, if you're serious, you know, we can start looking and helping you potentially fund this passion that you
amazing.
have.
That's
Yeah. So
amazing.
we had a massive step, like we had a massive advantage, what a lot of people wouldn't have had.
Yeah.
So we then started getting really, really serious about it. Long story cut short, we opened up this gym, and then that was in 2014. So in 2014, we opened up this gym, and this gym is still running today. But what I realized very, very quickly—
You still have ownership of it?
No, I relinquished all of my shares. Yeah, I realized very, very quickly within the first 18 months that essentially it wasn't what I wanted to do. So bearing in mind at this time, I can't remember the exact age I am, maybe, you know, maybe 20, 21, 22, maybe I was 22 at the time. And what I loved was fitness. I loved helping people. I loved coaching people. But because of the way the gym was set up, I essentially became a glorified cleaner. And I was no longer coaching. I was managing staff. It wasn't what I wanted to do whatsoever. Not even close. So I made the thing about me, I'm very quick at making decisions. Like, and if I don't like doing something, or if I don't think it's going to serve me for the long term, I'm someone that doesn't really stick around for it. I will be like, right. It's not to say that I'm not going to. I bail. But have you ever heard of the saying "sunk cost fallacy"?
Say it again.
Have you ever heard of sunk cost fallacy? So it's like what a lot of investment bankers get stuck into, right? So what happens is they put an investment into something, they hold it for years and years and years, but they don't get rid of the investment because they feel like they've put too much time and energy into it, so they stick for it too long, and they end up losing a ton of money. So this is all I learned at a very, very young age. And I've always had that in my head. I'm like, just because you've invested some time in something doesn't mean you should stick around for it. It isn't serving you anymore. So I basically quickly spoke to the business partners at the time. I said, look, this isn't what I want to do. This isn't the direction that I saw myself going in. I had a very, very different vision in my head to what we planned. And, you know, I can't stick around here for another 15 and 20 years and just hope that I get to that position. So I ended up selling my shares and I went back to personal training. So I ended up actually staying personal training inside of that gym, but paying them rent. So I started paying them rent and was personal training for a couple of years. And this brought me kind of up to like 2016, 2017. And I went to New Zealand in 2016, 17. I can't remember which year it was. And that was my first exposure to online training. We were in a hostel, and one of these guys was also a fitness trainer, but he had a couple of clients online, and he was doing his check-ins, and he was telling me about how he's working abroad. Like he's literally got a one-way ticket. He's got a couple of clients that pay him a couple of £100 each. It's enough to afford his travels. And he's only working a couple hours a day. And I was like, no way, you've got to be joking. I was like, what's this about? So I started talking to him a little bit more. As soon as I got back, because at this time, I'd obviously got the bug for traveling, right? So I've been away to New Zealand. I'm like, I've got the bug for this. Like, I want to keep on going away. And got home and started to really plan.
Which is something you can't do as a in-person personal trainer, obviously.
Exactly. Yeah. So I started to really plan out what I kind of saw the direction of online training, or my online training business doing? And at first it's kind of, I think a lot of coaches get stuck in this place where you start to run some numbers and you think, right, well, there's 7 billion people in the world, 8 billion, I think it is now. So there's like 8 billion people in the world. You're like, I only need, 500 people. If I get 500 people paying me £20, I'm a very happy man. But as you start to realize very, very quickly, marketing doesn't quite work like that. Like actually getting 500 people to join your program is very, very, very hard. And I was charging very little. So I got, a couple of people in my circle. So I got people in my sphere of where I was living and whatnot that knew my name to sign up. So maybe like 15 to 20 paying £20, but not enough for me to be able to fund to go traveling.
Right. It's too low amount. Yeah.
And then this is really where my first like mentor came in. So this is at 2018 now. So I hired a mentor and he started to teach me about high ticket coaching. He started to teach me about funnels, like websites, like all of these different things. So what we're talking, this is what we're now 23. So yeah, we're talking a long time ago now. So, we got a good 5-6 years ago before I started like really understanding more about like these marketing concepts and whatnot. And I started to really apply that and started to get some traction. And at this point, I decided to go into partnership with another business partner because we complemented each other's skills. He was very much more on the social media side, the face of the business.
Yeah.
And I was very much like, I loved the funnels. I loved the ads. I loved the marketing. Like that's really what I dived into. And we complemented each other really well because he wasn't interested in that side. So it was good for us to go into a 50-50 partnership. And we are still to this day in partnership. So we are still,
amazing.
We are still working together because it works extremely well. And then just before COVID, we really started to see like more and more traction. So year by year, the business had been like steadily growing, but nothing like at a rapid pace, like a nice steady pace, enough for us to be able to essentially really fulfill the dream of me being able to travel and go around the world. But then COVID hit. So COVID actually hit on the way I was on the way back from a mastermind in Florida. And
really?
Yeah, Clearwater. It was at Clearwater Beach. That's where I went. And I remember sitting in the airport and seeing all of like the first cases and being like, oh, this is ridiculous. This is nothing. Obviously ended up turning into something massive. But what we really started to get and what we realized more than anything else is at this point in time, our business is doing around £10,000 a month. So it's doing about 10K.
And this is the online nutrition education.
This is the One Academy. This is the online coaching. So we're doing around 10K just prior to like COVID hitting or around like the COVID time. And it was just both of us in the business. And so it's a pretty lean business. It's just both of us. Good times. And what happened is we had all of the systems in place, right? So one of the biggest things that happened with COVID with a lot of trainers, they were forced to go online, but they didn't know how the online world worked.
You had a huge advantage. You were way ahead of the pack.
Massive advantage. So we had all of our systems set up in place, whereas a lot of coaches that I've been speaking to since then, they didn't have all of these systems in place. Like they had no idea how to market because they only had the in-person skills. And what happened is from literally maybe it must have been a 30-day period. We went from £10,000 to £32,000 in one single month of a jump. And we were just like, we physically can't take on any more clients now. Like we are both at max capacity. We have to keep on growing the business. And I even look back now and there's a lot that I did wrong even back then. There's a lot. I genuinely reckon at one point we were collecting 1,700 emails a day.
Wow.
Like a day. And
that's unbelievable.
And this is, by the way, this is all organic, not paid, no paid traffic. So all of this is organic. So just to take a little step back as well, our main source of marketing was Facebook originally. And I went to another marketing conference about this is in, must have been December, it was December 2019. I went to a marketing conference, and a guy called Jay did a speech about TikTok. So he said, there's this TikTok platform at the moment, and he's got it up on the screen. He showed it, and he was like, this is currently the age demographic of what people are going on. But he was like, here's the trend of the last 3 months of what's been happening. And basically over the last 3 months, it'd gone from being like a 16, like a 14 to 16-year-old platform to then like 16 to 18 to like 18 to 21. Yeah. So he said he was like, I can't obviously guarantee it, but he was like, this is going to continue to grow. And this is an untapped market at the moment.
Yeah. And that was 19. Wow.
And what we did is we decided very, very quickly, we are going to be the first people on TikTok. I can't categorically say that we were the first people on TikTok, but right. I could almost guarantee in the UK, we were one of the first 10 people to do fitness marketing on TikTok, 100%. There was no one else doing it. And we were getting, because we've been in different mentorships together, we were telling people about this to our other like peers and stuff. And they were saying, no, it's a waste of time. It's a young platform. There's no point using it. But as soon as they start to realize the growth of it, they all changed. So we were doing fitness specific content, but we were gearing it more around it being like comedy based. So because the trends at the moment, trends at the time, like now on TikTok, you can like speak to the camera, you can do anything. It's any kind of video. But prior to that, it was just sounds, and it was you just like doing some sort of dance to these sounds. So what my business partner was doing is we were basically coming up with ideas of like how we can relate to all of these viral trends that are going on in a fitness sense. And it got traction very, very, very quickly. So my business partner on his TikTok was gaining thousands and thousands and thousands of followers a day, like every single day over the course of like a 6 to 7 month period. It was just growing and growing and growing and growing. But where we were really clever with it is we were cross-pollinating everything. So we were cross-pollinating everything. The whole
different platforms. So meaning you were putting the same content essentially in multiple different platforms.
Pretty much, but also we knew at that time. So we've always been, we've always had the understanding that Instagram is the platform that is the best to sell on. And on TikTok, you couldn't really message people at that time. There wasn't really a messenger app. You could only message people if they followed you. There was or if you followed them back, sorry. So there was loads. So Ryan's got 300,000 followers on TikTok. He couldn't, if he had 300,000 followers and was following 300,000 people, it'd be like a bit of an account that's like, what's going on here? Like they've obviously just like follow for follow. So it didn't really work like that. So what we realized very, very quickly is that we needed to get the attention on TikTok, because that's where all the attention was, and managed to pull them into a platform that we knew that we could have more intention. So we started
Instagram?
And that was Instagram. Yeah. So we started to do that. So this whole thing that now is like a very, very well-known strategy of like, you create one piece of content, which is now like a real form, short form content. You do it on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube short. So you've got 4 different platforms to cross-pollinate now with one piece of content. It
works for the same exact thing, right?
We were kind of doing that unintentionally with our marketing strategy. And it was working very, very, very well. It still works very, very, very well to this day. So yeah, we jumped from that £10,000 to like the £30,000, and we just continued that growth. We brought some coaches on board, and even to this very day, like I'm still learning so much information. Like I'm still learning so much about different systems, because I think for so many years of my life, like I always used to see failure is a bad thing. And this is for any coaches that are watching this now, like make sure you're constantly failing forward. Like failing forward is the best things that you
plus things are constantly changing. Things are working yesterday, may not be working today. So it's constantly, you got to keep learning new things also.
Exactly. And we've made like so many mistakes inside the business because of like the rapid growth that we've had. But what that's allowed me to do is not fall at the same hurdle over and over again.
Yeah.
So
you're learning.
when that exactly. So when that problem's happening again, we can apply it. So this has kind of brought us up to what we're in now, like 2020, 2022. So business continue to grow. We're still very much operating now. We're looking to actually at this moment in time. So we really niched down into weight loss specifically for women. And now we're starting to branch off in other areas like menopausal women, PCOS, all different avenues. So we're starting. We had like a bit of a wide net to start off with. We're starting to niche down in other areas. But this then brought me to, again, a bit of unintentional mentorship from like a business standpoint. So obviously we've seen from 2020 for our real growth from 2020 up to now 2023, 2022, whichever way you want to look at it, our business was continuing to grow. And what other coaches started to do is just naturally reach out to us and ask us questions like, hey, I saw you do this. Hey, I saw you do that. Hey, you were in this mentorship and you did this. So people started to just ask us, and we would happily just get on a call with someone for an hour and share. Like this is the other thing as well. I feel like, there's so many people in this world. Like everyone can be successful. Everyone only needs 1,000 clients to be like a millionaire, essentially. Like there's more than enough people to share. So we were happy to like kind of jump on calls and stuff. And then we had one client in particular that was basically at the time, like a friend. He was like, I'm paying you for this. He was like, the information you've just given me, he was like, it's literally, changed my life. He was like, I'm paying for you. Like, what can I give you? And we were like, it's honestly, it's fine. Like, don't worry about it. So he ended up coming back like 2 or 3 weeks later, and he was like, I implemented exactly what you've said. And he was like, in 3 weeks, I've gained another, like, it was like 5K or something.
Wow.
And we were like, okay, awesome. And he was like, can you guys
5,000 on which platform?
I think it was Instagram.
So he implemented some of your strategies and he picked up 5,000 followers on Instagram, which is
£5,000, sorry.
I'm sorry, 5,000. I thought you said followers. I was like, wow, that's pretty impressive.
No. He generated 5. So we gave him.
Still good. That's still really good.
Yeah. So basically what we did is we gave him a strategy that we use with stories, and he implemented that over the course of the next 3 weeks and made an extra £5,000 from that exact strategy. So he basically said, he was like, I want to work with you guys. He was like, I want to work with you. You give me a price. You tell me what it is, and go from there. So that was kind of like the first step into it. But, we've still very much got like this business rolling, right? We've still got our own fitness business.
It's because you're running your own business, and it enabled you to kind of experiment with lots of different types of strategies, and you made some failures and you obviously made a lot of successes. And, I think that's the best way to learn, really, turn lemon into lemonade.
No, exactly. And then this is what really kickstarted our conversation. This is really what drove the interest for me. And I knew it's something that I was really, really passionate about. And I think it's always stemmed from like right at the beginning, from like unintentionally at the time. I didn't realize, like I said, when I was overweight and I lost weight, one thing I wanted to do is, because my mindset was, you're the only person that in the world that is overweight and can't lose weight, but I achieved it. And I was like, well, there's other people that are also thinking that, so I want to help them. So I think my place of my superpower, as you'd call it, is like the coaching aspect in like implementation. And I don't think it matters necessarily. I was
actually going to ask you that in a minute, or it's a couple minutes.
Ruined the question. But yeah, I'd probably say like that's one of the things that really continue to drive me forward. I love problem solving. I love helping people get from a place of A to B in a fast and smooth process.
Well, you definitely found your superpower, your niche. I mean, if it's all the feedback and testimonials from all of clients from Online SuperCoach, they all adore you. So they all speak super highly and highly praise of you. So that is that's obvious. That's really, really obvious. But the question I had related to superpower, I'll just get to that right now. So just talk about it. Is obviously, you were able to kind of, you meet with all of the clients for Online SuperCoach, and you've had a lot of different experiences in marketing, so many different ways in your own life. is there a specific type of style that you, or not style, but like is there a specific part of the marketing spectrum that you feel is your superpower that you are like stronger with than other areas? Is there something that I mean, obviously you're doing very well in everything, but is there something that's like really, that's like you feel like you're more of an expert with? Organic content, funnel builds, Facebook ads, the copywriting, is there something that's like, what is there like something that's more of like, you feel like you go toe to toe with anybody with?
I guess at this moment in time, the way that short form media is getting attention is probably one of, I would say, the things that I'm really, really good at, and I'm good at helping people with. Yeah, like hooks and understanding what is like scroll stopping. So we're obviously in an era at the moment where you've got about 3 seconds to capture someone's attention.
Yeah.
Everyone is so used to just scrolling.
Yeah.
So I think still what so many coaches get caught up on is getting on the camera and being like, hey guys, what we're going to talk about today is you've lost them. Like no one cares. So that's probably one of the things that I've really, over the last couple of months, I've dived into. And like personally myself, I have seen like a humongous shift in, but also for people around me that I'm helping implement is making huge differences like on this as well.
Give me an example. Like, so how does somebody improve their hook, their stopping power in a scroll? Like what give us some tips of what we could maybe implement?
Yeah, so the first thing you've got to understand your audience. So what is the audience? What is the thing your audience really struggle with? What is something that's really holding them back? What's a current limiting belief that they have that's stopping them getting to the place of where they want to get to? And you're calling that out essentially in the hook. But you don't want to be doing in a way that isn't really that exciting. And you can be quite aggressive at it as well. And when I say aggressive, it's like this one simple mindset trick will quite literally change your life, because what that does in like people's mind is like, what is that? What is this thing that's going to change my life? Like they want to know about it. So they want to watch more. Now, how the short form content works and for it to go viral and you get more and more views is it's done on the length of the watch time. So most people think that, your likes is like your vanity metric, the shares and stuff like that. It really doesn't matter. Like you could have a video that you get hundreds and hundreds and hundred people comment on it. But if they don't watch till the end, or they don't watch at least 70% of the video, then it's not going to get pushed out further and further because the algorithm doesn't see it as a good performing post.
Is that for all platforms or just Instagram?
For the Reels, so TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook.
What about YouTube Shorts?
YouTube, yeah. So it's done on the amount of time that you're looking to get. So this is where with YouTube, right? This is where the ad revenue comes in. Because with YouTube, the longer someone watches your content, the more ad revenue that you get with it. And they're rolling out some pretty cool things. Unfortunately, not in the US, they've already got them rolled out. In the UK, not so much. With Reels now, where you can actually get paid done on by your Reels.
Wow. Wow, that's so, times are changing so quickly with it all. That's just phenomenal. So really those are some great steps. So basically what they really want to do is come up with really, really attractive stopping power type of a hook to really engage the audience. You want to do that, you want to know who your audience is and what'd you say, like the what's important to them. What was the word? What would you say? Like knowing your audience and knowing
so it's
what their limiting beliefs are.
Yeah, exactly that. And the things that are really holding them back. So let me give you an example of it. Like, let's just give everyone an example. So I work in women's weight loss. Now, I know for my audience, one of the things that really, really hold them back is their cravings. So I know that cravings is something that a lot of my audience struggle with. So I will use a hook like, if you have a sweet tooth in the evening, you're going to want to watch, you're going to want to stick around for the next 30 seconds.
Right.
As an example there, because I know all my audience have a sweet tooth and every single person is like me.
Right. So that's perfect segue into the next question. Obviously we're going to get to that. So, Hayden, I don't know if I got these numbers right, but I think you have over 4,000 followers on Instagram. You have 93,000 followers on TikTok and 129,000 followers on Facebook.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Over 200,000 followers, I think, in those three platforms. I'm not sure if I didn't really look at all the other ones, but that is absolutely phenomenal. How did you amass such an insane following?
So here's the kicker. Like, all of those I have generated in the last 3 months.
Get out of here. You generated majority of your 200,000 followers in the last 3 months?
Yeah. So if January the 1st, I had 1,800 followers on Instagram. That was it.
Wow.
And then since then, everything else. So
that's unbelievable. You're like a superstar.
Yeah. So the funny thing about this is where this all really came around was because I was doing obviously the mentoring side of things from a business perspective for helping people grow their business. And I've known this information for years and years and years. I've been doing it. So like I said, right at the beginning of the podcast, my business partner was the face of the company, but we were still doing strategical things together. We were still planning out things together. So I've still been doing courses on content creation. I've still been doing all that, but it's always been a means to help my business partner out and help his platform grow more and more and more because he was the face of the company. So it was always a win-win for me. But I'm not someone, so take another massive step back. This is me as my personality. When we created the gym, I'm someone that I don't like to be in the limelight, which seems really, really weird considering like the following that I'm starting to like bring together now, but I don't like to be in the limelight. And you can even tell that if you go onto my my TikToks and stuff like that, you will see the majority of my content hasn't got my face in it. Like that's me as a personality. I don't like to be in the limelight.
I mean, I was just going to buttress that. I don't want to interrupt you, but like I actually had this, I was going to say this exactly almost that, like, in addition to my initial question of how did you grow such following, because you're not overtly like an extrovert, to be honest with you, you're not the type of guy who's like juggling knives on camera or lighting your hair on fire. You're not lighting your hair on fire, doing these extraordinary things just to get attention. So it's not like you have your best friend is some celebrity that you're walking around with, So the fact that you were able to generate that many followers in such a short period of time is just like absolutely phenomenal. And I think that if you could do it, so many other people would. So we're so interested in hearing the end of this story. So I just sorry to interject that, but that was kind of buttressing exactly what you were saying.
No. So like even the gym that I created, I didn't have it was my ex-business partner's surname. That was the gym logo because I didn't want to be associated. I didn't want people to be like, oh, Hayden's got a gym and stuff like that. Anyway, so I was going through some content creation with one of my clients, and I was talking about, you need to we're in a place where now you need to be creating attention and you need to start having your hooks like this. I was going through like kind of a strategy and how it was laid out. And he said these exact words for me. He said, "This is all great, Hayden." He was like, "But how do you know this works?" And I was like, "Because I've been doing it for ages." And he was like, "But how do you know this works? Because you don't have a following." And I was like, okay. And he was like, how about this? How about you start doing it as well? He was like, and then we can almost like, but how it was kind of insinuated was like, you do it as well, and we'll have a race to 10K. That was almost like how it was.
I was like a competition. That's so cool.
Yeah. So it was almost set up like a competition. And I was like, do you know what? I have nothing to lose from this, because if I start like building a following and whatnot, it only helps my business partner anyway in my business.
Yeah.
It's only going to increase the revenue. So I was like, do you know what? I'm going to do it as well. But I knew from the off, like the majority of my content, I didn't want to be on camera, my face. So I had to find a way of identifying a way for me to be able to do this without being on camera. And this is where it comes down to knowing your audience again, because I know my audience, typical things, they are in this psychology, this mindset of good foods, bad foods, how when you're dieting, you're only eating like broccoli, chicken and rice. And when you're not dieting, you're eating cakes, chocolate, pizza, all of these things.
Right.
So this is something that we actively preach to our clients and say, look, dieting doesn't need to be stressful. It doesn't need to be like that. And this is how I was like, right, I'm going to do this in a way of a content to be able to help them still enjoy their favorite foods with zero restrictions. So I started doing some recipes, and they started to take off a little bit. Let's just say that.
A little
So
bit,
following,
a lot of it.
saying the exact formula. So word by word, or like structure by structure, the exact formula that I've been giving my clients on how they can grow their social medias. I did it for myself, and started getting some traction. And just to kind of throw some numbers out there, just to really
Yeah.
make myself look good. I think one of them. So on TikTok, one of them gained, it was like 2.4 million. It got 2 more million views. And then
That's
another
insane.
one, yeah,
It was
another one
three.
got,
It was three. How many million? How many million was it?
so on TikTok, it was like 2 or 3 million. I can't remember. It's still going up now. It still
I
rises
was
every
looking
single
at
day.
that before. Yeah, it was insane amount. 3.8 million.
3.8 million. So it's currently sitting at 3.8 million. And one of the big papers over in the UK did an article on me and my recipe. So that started to get me like a little bit of traction there. And this is like a takeaway for you guys, how like one video can completely change your business, like completely transform your business. You get one video go viral, it can completely transform your business. So no extra effort, right? There's something called, so here's a little tip for everyone. So you can download a video from TikTok, and you can take away the watermark so it looks like its own like unique video. Because if you download a video from TikTok, it's got that TikTok logo in the middle of it, right?
Yeah.
So there's something called snaptic.io, I think, where you basically paste the URL into it, you download the video, and you get that whole video without the watermark. So all I did was, as soon as that video started gaining a bit of traction, I think when it got over like 200,000, that exact same video, what did you say it was at
3.8 million.
So 3.8 million. So I did that process that I was saying, put it on Facebook Reel, and on Facebook it got as well. Let me just get to it. 10.7 million.
Whoa, I didn't even
Yeah.
check that. Oh my God. 10.7 million on Facebook. Wow. That's
Yeah.
insane. That's absolutely insane.
So it absolutely blew up on Facebook as well. So all the ones that have done well,
You're like
have,
you're a superstar.
have
You're an influencer. You're a fitness influencer.
Yeah, and that's why I've got more of the following on Facebook. What was actually built in a shorter period of time than the TikTok one was, because it takes that one video. You get that one video, you get attention. Now, when I do call to action posts, and I'm looking to have some sort of comment in exchange for a conversation, an email, I'm now getting so much more traction. So I did one last week or the week before, which was, I've just created a PDF guide showing you step by step how to lose 25 pounds in the next 90 days. Who wants it? Comment me below. And I got 625 people comment me.
Wow.
So that's 625 leads that I can now go to and say, hey, here's the thing as promised, and then follow up with them in 24 hours and being like, hey, by the way, obviously you grabbed this lead magnet because you're looking to lose weight. Do you mind if I ask you some questions to see how I can help you better? I've now just opened up a conversation with people to be able to see how I can potentially help them with their weight loss journey. So
Wow.
this is the thing with like capturing an audience, because once you start to get that audience, you start to get traction, they start to see you as your authority in the marketplace, and you're the go-to person.
So let's just try to, like, just to wrap this up as far as the what you were able to successfully do. What would, if there's like a few pointers to grow your following like you did in 3 months, 100, like what are some of the steps that you just foundationally you need to do to kind of like begin to do that? And so really organic, I think it sounds like your organic content, especially with the short form stuff, is your superpower, whether you think so or not. Obviously it is, because that's where you got all your followers from. So if there's a way to like kind of educate our listeners, like what are some things that they could be doing or differently to really grow their following?
Yeah, I think especially with, and this is openly and honestly, this is something that I think I got caught in because I've always been quite I guess flaky with content. I've more been posting because I feel like I should be posting rather than actually wanting to post. And it's been the same tradition as I post for 2 or 3 weeks, don't really get much traction and think, what's the point in posting? So I stopped. However, this at the beginning of the year, and because of like the client that I was talking to as well, and
Yeah.
I was speaking with, I was saying, look, you want to dedicate, like, put effort into this. And what I mean is almost do 100 days straight with posting with expecting nothing, like expect absolutely nothing. Best case, like for a year, I think this is something that's massively under like appreciated. Is like, imagine if you went one whole year providing value every single day, turning up every single year for a straight year, just producing value upon value. Alex Hormozi, perfect example of doing this.
Yeah.
He produces value every single day, and I cannot tell you how much money that guy has made from doing that individually. He was a guy that's come from direct response marketing, paid ads, never
Yeah.
ever believed. In actual fact, I watched one of his very first YouTube videos that was all about why branding is so pointless and how everything should be done through paid ads. He
Yeah.
will openly and honestly admit, I've heard him say it in a podcast before, he's completely flipped the script on that, where he is now very much the other way. It's personal brand over everything else. But it's having that mindset of going into doing that task for it's not a finite task. It should be an infinite loop. It should be
Yeah.
something that you're constantly doing because it's your personal brand. But I think too many coaches, they look at it as a finite task. It's like, when I get some following, when I get some traction, I can stop posting. But you
Yeah.
need to shift your mindset on that. So that's the first thing, is you have to change your mindset around the reasons to why you're posting, because I think too many people just get in the trap of posting in a means to try and just make money. And yes, of course, that's the long-term goal. You want to be doing that. But if you are just providing value upon value upon value upon value, you almost position yourself in a way where someone has no other option but to want to sign up with you further. So
Right.
that's the first thing, is shift your mindset around it. Now, actually, like strategically, when it comes to content, it's knowing your audience, knowing the things that your audience really, really struggle with. Like I said, what's the kind of current limiting beliefs they have that's stopping them getting from the place that they want to get to? What's the things that they want to achieve? What have they always wanted to do in their life? The more you know about the audience, and the best way to do this is, if you have personal training clients, online clients, your dream clients, interview them, ask them, why did they sign up with you in the first place? What was the things that they were struggling with the most? So you can do this, and you want to understand the audience, because once you understand the audience, you can start solving problems. You can start solving problems in the marketplace, and you can do this through your strategic content. Like I said, if we're talking just short form content with the reels, the hook. So understanding that hook, what is the thing that they're struggling with the most, capturing them through that, then providing the information, giving them a reveal. So giving them actual practical action steps. Again, using Alex Hormozi, right? He doesn't just tell you a piece of information without any conclusion to it. He
Right.
tells you something you can actively do, so you can go away and complete it. It's the same with what you're doing here with your content, and then always asking for something. So it's a call to action. Your call to action doesn't have to be buy my stuff. It can be drop me a follow. If you want more weight loss tips, if you want more daily weight loss tips, drop me a follow.
Right.
You would be so surprised how much of a difference that makes. You telling your audience to do something, they will do it. We are lazy human beings. We need to be told.
Yeah.
People will do it. People will do it. Did that answer the question?
Absolutely. That's terrific. So it's a mindset focus, like start posting for the right reasons, not just because you have to do it, because you really want to do it, and for the right reasons of really putting out good, valuable content that really speaks to your audience all the time. Knowing who your audience is obviously extremely important, because you obviously need to know who you're talking to, and by understanding them, you understand, what problems you're going to solve. And that's the last part, is like solving the problems for them. You want to figure out what problems you could solve for them. So like you have a perfect example. It's not just like, hey, if you're women and you want, women who want to lose weight, that's not your hook. You're going after more sub categories. Like, do you have a sweet tooth at night, which is this is an issue of someone who's wanting to lose weight at night, is that they're eating. So those are all makes so much sense of how you're able to just grab them in. And obviously the hooks, you want to get a good hook to get their attention. So that is absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, it's solving specific problems, because once you can solve that specific problem for someone, like, you're not trying to fix the biggest issue that's at hand, that they can't lose weight, right? If you just solve these micro problems, it gives them a quick win there and then. And one of the best performing pieces of content that I've done, talking to the camera and lead magnets that we done, was around how you don't need to look at your calories from a day by day basis. And in fact, if you look at your calories from a weekly calorie average, it allows you to yourself to have the flexibility to understand you can have more calories on the weekend, less at the midweek. The reason why this has worked so well is because they don't physically lose any weight by doing it, stuff like that, instantaneously, but it does give them an instant mindset shift, which they've never had before in their life. And they're like, oh my God, like, I've been living my whole life counting my calories daily. As soon as I go over my calories, I ruin my diet.
Yeah.
And now you've just told me that I can actually still go over my calories.
And it's more sustainable.
Exactly.
That way. Yeah, that's right. Well, Hayden, this was an absolute treasure trove. You've given us so much valuable content information here. We've learned a little bit about you, for all of you're like a rising star, and and just give us all these tricks and tips on how to grow your content, how to develop your content properly, how to grow your followers. This has been such a great thing. You have such an endearing story. You're such a great guy. I really, really, really appreciate you coming on the podcast. Finally, I don't know why it took so long to get you on here. It's my fault. I should have actually a long time ago. But now we got all this new stories from the last 3 months. So it was a good thing.
It's good to early or late even. Yeah.
But yeah, no, thank you so much for coming on. And absolutely. So if they wanted to get some tips on how to lose weight or some nutritional diet, where could they find you?
So if you, this is another story. So when we didn't really think about it when we started our company. So we named it the Online Nutritional Education. Like, how long is that? But what you can do is you can go onto my Facebook, you can go to my Instagram. It's just my name, Hayden Rolfe, and then 1 at the end, as in just 1, like number 1. But don't actually I've made that even more confusing. It's not the number 1, it's just 1.
we'll put that in the
yeah. So Hayden Rolfe 1, and then you can find me over questions, anything you have.
Yeah.
Even if it's like content creation, just shoot me a message.
Well, thanks again, and have a great rest of your day.
No, I appreciate you. Thank you so much.